This video is brought to you by NVIDIA and the new MSI Sword G15 30 series laptop, which I got to check out as part of this preview. Stick around to the end of the video to learn more about how NVIDIA and MSI's next-gen hardware can transform the way you play. Alright, let's do the most important test first. Ready? Oh my god, the cabbage did not explode. Absolute garbage. Pathetic, lazy devs, uninstalled. If you don't get that joke, you should start a Twitter account. P.S. No, you shouldn't. Stay away from Twitter as long as you can. Back 4 Blood, the upcoming shooty game from Turtle Rock Studios, spiritual successor to the classic and perennially played Left 4 Dead 2. God, that is a hard word. Also, the game meant to help us forget that Evolve ever existed. So if you're hooked into the discourse around Turtle Rock or Evolve or this game, you'll know that there's definitely some controversy. There's some hostility there about approaches to map packs, unlocks, mods, etc. We're going to talk about that at the back end of this video because there's no point worrying about all of that stuff if the game is shit, because you're not going to want to play the game or stick with it in the long term anyway, so all that stuff doesn't matter. We will talk about that stuff though because the game is not shit. This video is based on early access to the closed beta, which is live today and for the next few days. It's a pre-order only beta, but I think you can get your hands on codes from a few different places. Like I know Intel was giving away codes, for example. Just do some Googling, hopefully you'll be able to find one. I played a few hours of this with a group of 3 friends, so the 4 of us. We played the first 4 maps on both Survivor and Veteran. We didn't try Nightmare because we knew we'd just get our asses handed to us and we wanted to see as much content as possible in the brief time we had. We also got to play the 4v4 PvP mode called Swarm. Had a few rounds of that. There is no campaign versus PvP mode in Back 4 Blood, so obviously we didn't play that because it doesn't exist. Obviously, Back 4 Blood is the spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead, but that game came out 12 years ago and not everyone will have played it, so I'm going to be talking about Back 4 Blood as though you've never played Left 4 Dead, just so we're all on the same page and there's no confusion. So high level, what did I think? On the PvE side, I think this is awesome. I really loved it and it ticked every box and I genuinely can't wait to play more of it. On the PvP side, I didn't love it, and if I never played that game mode again, I'd be okay with that. And when it comes to the commercial stuff, there's definitely some big question marks there. It's impossible to forget that this is coming to Game Pass, and while there's plenty to discuss about the longevity of this title, I feel like in that opening week, that launch window when you download it and boot it up with your mates, I'm all but certain that you're going to have a good time. Let's do the technical stuff first. I know we're still quite a ways from launch, but this game is in really good shape, technically speaking, so I wanted to highlight that. I played this on an RTX 3080 running at 1440p, a 144Hz monitor. Performance was flawless. I was almost always at 144 frames, no stutters, no crashes, no bugs. This feels ready to ship today, and given the fact that it's still 2.5 months from launch and we didn't have NVIDIA game-specific drivers, the current performance we're seeing is really encouraging. The option menu is very good. Of note, we have NVIDIA DLSS in there, which surely would have helped me get the frames I was getting. There's a motion blur toggle, thank you very much. Field of view goes all the way up to 120, which is helpful in a game like this because that peripheral vision helps, but I think it's a bit too fish-eyed for me, so I like to keep it at 105. You can limit FPS if you want to. There's a bunch of graphical presets, and there's also the option to run the game in DirectX 12 for added stability and performance. I saw the option to remap keybinds, but I didn't see option to remap controller buttons, which is a bit of a bummer. But yeah, technical side, right now this game is A-okay. Very impressed. The beta begins here in Fort Hope. It's essentially a visualization of your game menu. You walk around and talk to the NPCs, which opens up different sections of your menu, but you can also just press tab at any time to open the menu and navigate its tabs. I'm assuming that each of the people here will be introduced in some interesting way and have something interesting to say later on, but right now they don't do anything, they just have background patter. There's a boxing ring here, that's nice. There's a punching bag, also fun. Over here though is the shooting range, allowing you to pick up any weapon, apply any mod, and test it out for yourself. This is the first time you'll meet Back 4 Blood's impressive range of weapons and get acquainted with just how good they feel. There's pistols, machine guns, semi-autos, sniper rifles, shotguns, LMGs, and probably some other stuff I'm forgetting. Each of them feel great. I didn't meet a gun I didn't enjoy firing, and things like aim down sight speeds and weapon feedback and recoil and sound design, all of it felt really solid. In addition, there are mods which certainly have a meaningful impact on how a weapon performs. Solid gunplay is never easy to get right, and from the looks of things, Turtle Rock have got it right here. A trip through the menu reveals the option to select different characters which you can change at will. Each of them have their own starter weapon like a pistol or a machete. They have unique stats or perks such as the ability to escape from being grabbed by a zombie, and they also provide a team buff, stuff like bonus movement speed, etc. It gives you the chance to build a squad that synergizes well together, but these buffs aren't huge, they aren't must-have buffs, at least not from what I can tell, so you can generally play whatever you like and it'll work. There are some limited personalization options here, things like emblems, titles, banners, and sprays. I do believe there will be some customizable character and weapon skins in the future, but these were not present in the beta build. There are these things called supply lines, and from what I can tell, these look like mini battle passes. They're a collection of upgrade cards, which we'll talk about in a second, and some of the personalization stuff we just mentioned, and some gallery unlocks. You get the currency for this stuff by playing, and then you choose which supply line you'd like to unlock. There are a few different supply lines in this build, so I guess this is the overall progression path that the game will utilize over time, and you can expect more of these to get added to the game later. Let's talk about these cards, which are certainly one of the more interesting components of Back 4 Blood. You get these cards for both PvE and PvP. You earn them by playing the game, like pickups for example in PvE, and you can also unlock them through those Battle Pass supply lines. They're essentially stat boost and perk cards, allowing you to tailor a specific playstyle through combining these cards into decks. So we didn't have many unlocked on the PvE side of the game, but on the PvP side, there was a lot more, and there were some pre-built decks like this one that focused a lot on healing, or another that provided a lot of party buffs, etc. You can stack a lot of cards into these decks, and for every new level in PvE and every new round in PvP, you draw randomly from those decks to apply those stat boosts to yourself and your party. I like this system a lot. I really think it adds a lot of depth and replayability to a formula that really benefits from this roguelike deck builder thing that we've seen in games like Slay the Spire. It has a lot of really tangible impact on how your team plays, as you may want to ensure that your medic picks up all of the healing items since they're better at using them than you are. And similarly, if you're the medic, you may forego picking up explosives or traps because you know your teammates are better suited to that. It encourages a lot of communication and cooperation, which is exactly what this game is all about. I know people are concerned that these cards will be a microtransaction bonanza, but these will not be sold on a cash shop, though some of them will be locked behind the season pass. We'll talk more about that at the end of the video. Anyway, the randomness of these cards is great, especially when compared to the campaign modifiers. Each time you load up a level, there's going to be one or two modifiers that kicks in to spice things up, like a timed goal or a dense fog that sits over your map to obscure your vision. Clearly, Turtle Rock have put a lot of work into making each run feel as varied as possible from the last, even when you're playing the same levels, and it looks like they've built in the right sorts of ingredients to make that possible. Anyway, enough of the menus, let's play this thing. The campaign for Back 4 Blood is an on-rails horde mode where you need to get to the end of the level while shit tons of zombies try to stop you from doing that. You're in a party of 4 people, either your friends or matchmade or AI bots, so you can play solo, and yeah, you just try and make it to the next safe room without dying. Along the way, there are certain objectives like wait for this machine to start up or blow up this bridge, etc. And most of these are about either outlasting a big surge of zombies or trying to stop that surge from happening. At this point, for example, we had to cross this truck yard, and there were these clusters of ravens about, and if we got near them, they would squawk madly and attract the horde, costing us time, ammo, and typically health. There are almost no aspects of this formula that weren't impressive to me. The level design is so good, it really does feel like those classic Left 4 Dead levels full of interesting layouts and holdout points and butt-clenching events where you're just hanging on by your fingernails because there's just so much shit being thrown at you from every angle. Every combat space has these little finicky angles you can find that give you an edge over the zombies, but there was never anything we found that would let us cheese engagements. The zombies could always get to us no matter where we were positioned, which meant that combat always felt fair and engaging. Enemy design is also really strong. There are obviously hordes of undead filler coming at you, but there are also the special zombies, the ones with way more health, who can shoot you from range, who can charge up to you and kamikaze explode, who can smash a mighty pustulated fist down, leaving a pool of acid in its wake. Each of these enemies has a clever weak spot, like the tall boy, who will come at you to smash you, and he'll approach you from side on. And his weak spot is actually on his hidden arm, which means that you can't shoot it if he's coming straight at you. You have to rely on your teammates to save your ass, because that guy has a lot of health and he's going to be hard to bring down without hitting that weak spot. Same goes for these fat boys. They have so much health, and unless your party is training them down, there's just no way you're going to be able to pop them before they run up to you and explode all over you. This does make me question how well this game is going to work when playing solo, since that is an advertised feature of this game. We've all played enough of these sorts of games to know that they don't quite work well when playing solo, because AI just can't be relied upon the same way that a human can. I couldn't test any of this out because solo play wasn't available during the beta, but it's definitely something I'll be keeping a close eye on when I review the game in October. I just loved how much these campaign missions push back on us in a way that felt fair. We started playing on easy mode just to get a feel for it, but we were quickly like, nah, this is way too easy, let's bump this up. And then on normal difficulty, it just felt great. The health economy, the ammo economy, the number of item drops, the number of enemies spawning, you immediately had to begin working together and cooperating with your teammates, because if you didn't, you were cooked. But the game never relied on cheap tricks or shitty spawn dumps where they just mindlessly hurl everything at you. It felt so tightly designed, and that's ultimately what I was looking for when I booted this up. There are a ton of levels that weren't available in the beta, and a whole new difficulty tier we hadn't touched yet. I genuinely look forward to getting stuck into this stuff. The PvP stuff, on the other hand, not so much. So first of all, I'll say that the footage here is a little choppy because I had a problem with my recording setup. The game was fine, it was entirely on my end, so apologies for that. PvP in Back 4 Blood is not based around the game's campaign. It's a completely separate game mode called Swarm. You'll matchmake against another team of 4, which randomly allocates you to either the zombies or the humans. If you're the humans, you can select your character, select your pre-made deck of cards, and then draw a few cards from that deck to finalize your build. You'll then have a scavenge period where you and your team are just scouting for items, setting up defenses if you want to, and then it's on. If you spawn in as the zombies, you'll be able to choose which type of zombie you want to play as. There are around 9 of them available in the menus now. Some of them are locked, and we're told that there will be more added later as part of future DLC drops. The zombies each have unique abilities, and you can also upgrade those abilities over time, making them more powerful. You can also buff the basic fodder zombies to increase their strength and numbers, but you can't actually control them. While the humans are in their scavenging phase, you can follow them around as a ghost, no secrets here, and then when the game begins, you can spawn in so long as you aren't too close to any of the humans, and you're hidden. You have to be behind some cover, I guess, to maintain the willing suspension of disbelief, because zombies appearing out of thin air would just be a bit too much of a stretch, I guess. Anyway, you hurl yourself at the humans and you will die. There will be a 20-second or so timer, and then you'll respawn. The goal is to bring the humans down as fast as possible, a task made easier by the fact that there's a shrinking circle, and eventually there's just nowhere for them to go. After round 1, the teams switch, and if the other team outlasts the time of the previous team, then they win, or something like that. It's about who lasts longest. The exact mechanisms of the scoreboard are unclear to me. This mode, I did not love this. I didn't really like controlling the zombies. They felt kind of floaty and unresponsive and awkward. They felt like steering a shopping cart rather than controlling an actual bipedal creature. The leaping zombie, that mechanic was really finicky and had a lot of wind-up, and just, I don't know, that didn't work for me. Controlling the humans felt really tight and responsive, and I always love that. The zombies definitely did not feel anything like that. The maps you're operating in are also really small, and they aren't phased. It's just the same space for the whole round, and then the next round as well. Balance, we found, was a problem. I mean, the big meat sack kamikaze zombie, you can literally just spawn him right nearby the enemy, and then round a corner and immediately explode. It makes staying inside as the humans really risky, and we definitely found that the best strategy was to be out in the open so we couldn't be surprised bum rushed like that. But look, I will say that this was my first touch point with this game mode, and it's possible that it's actually really balanced, but because I didn't know what I was doing and we didn't have all of the required cards, etc., that it didn't feel balanced. I don't know. The point is, I played a few rounds of this and I was really done with it. I don't want to play any more of it, which was a really stark contrast to the PvE side of the game, where I couldn't get enough of it. Well then, doesn't all that look great? No problems here, nothing else to discuss. That's the end of the video. Okay, not quite. If you have been following any of the discourse around this game, you would know that there is a lot of hostility towards it, and if you haven't been following that discourse, you might be confused, like, hey, this is essentially a Left 4 Dead sequel, and everyone loves Left 4 Dead, so what's the problem? Well, there's a few things. Firstly, a lot of people hold a grudge against the developer Turtle Rock. Why is that? Well, you might have heard of their previous title, Evolve, or you might not have heard of it, and there's a reason for that. It died a swift, explosive death. Evolve was a really interesting game on spec. It was asymmetric PvP before that concept was cool, where you control either a giant monster that would evolve and grow more powerful over time, or you control a hunter as part of a team who would have to bring this monster down. Like I said, cool concept, looked great, a lot of hype, it just didn't work. Game balancing was really broken straight out of the gate, and it never found its footing. More than that though, the game was really expensive with like 3 different deluxe versions and day 1 DLC, and the game was sort of built around DLC, with new characters and new monsters being paywalled behind either the cash shop or a pricey season pass. The whole pricing model was so complicated that people had to put spreadsheets together to make sense of it all. It was this combination of things that really undid Evolve. The game never quite worked, and the monetization approach really rubbed people the wrong way and didn't invite players back to the game, since people felt like, oh, Evolve, that's that game where I have to spend all the money. Not gonna do that. Evolve launched in February 2015, but player numbers tanked so rapidly that the game went free to play in July of the following year, and Turtle Rock then announced that development of the game would cease in October 2016, just over 18 months since launch. Dedicated servers were then shut off in 2018, rendering the game all but unplayable. So a lot of people hold a grudge because of how Turtle Rock overpromised, overcharged, and ultimately bailed. But look, gamers, we're a forgiving bunch sometimes, and we tend to have short memories often, so is the hostility towards Back 4 Blood just because of Evolve? Well, no, because it seems like Turtle Rock are kind of repeating at least some of the mistakes that they made with Evolve. So there's the day 1 price points, there's 3 options, standard, deluxe, and ultimate, with the ultimate being $100 US. There's a season pass which contains story, which is analogous to maps here, as well as new characters, new controllable zombies for the PvP side of the game, new card upgrades, and other stuff. So when the contents of this annual pass was revealed, everyone was like, dude, what the fuck? In 2021, the idea of separating your community through paid map packs just feels super outdated and super silly. I mean, not even Evolve had paid map packs. Every map in Evolve was free. Turns out this isn't quite as bad as it sounds, because if one person owns the DLC, then anyone who joins their party can play with them. And that's nice and all, but it doesn't increase the matchmaking player pool, which becomes increasingly important as people drift away from the game. There's also concerns about the balancing of new characters and new cards. The developers have said that they're going to balance these so they don't become must-purchase characters or must-purchase cards, but I don't know, man, I wouldn't take that one to the bank. This is doubly concerning in the realm of PvP, where new characters, cards, and zombie types can have a really big impact on game balance. Apparently, anyone can earn the characters for free in PvP, but I don't know if that means that you can then use those characters in the PvE side of the game. That's not exactly clear. In addition to all of that, Turtle Rock have hinted that there will be a cosmetic shop in the future, but it doesn't appear to be in the game at the moment, and I can't find any specifics on it right now. Also, there's these Battle Pass-esque things called supply lines. These aren't monetized at the moment from what I can see, but I'm not sure if they might be monetized in the future. So yeah, there's a lot, and it's kind of a mess, and it's hard to understand it all, and it mirrors the confusion that players felt at the start of Evolve. In addition to that, Turtle Rock have made clear that they will not have any community mods. It's totally closed files, Turtle Rock created content only. That means no community maps. If you are familiar with Left 4 Dead, you would know that custom maps are one of the biggest drivers of that game's population, and to be clear, that's a big population. Left 4 Dead 2 is still averaging around 22,000 concurrent players during its peak hours, making it one of the top 50 most played games on Steam, despite the fact that it released 12 years ago. No custom maps is a big body blow to the longevity potential of this game. Finally, it was revealed that Back 4 Blood will be an always online title, even when you are playing solo with AI bots. This is a concern, because if this game goes belly up, either in the short or long term, we will eventually arrive at a situation where servers are turned off and the campaign for this game will be unplayable. And from a game preservation perspective, I really hate that. The developers have said that they are looking at making offline play possible in the future, but I never put much stock in promises like that. So those are the issues. Caution around Turtle Rock's history, concerns about game pricing, confusion about map packs and characters and upgrades and cosmetics and battle passes, no mods, and no offline play. So what do I think about all this? I think that there are actually two discussions about this game. One discussion is the core gaming community, the Left 4 Dead community, the people who actually read Reddit threads or watch videos like this. That's like 5% of the market tops. For those people, I think there are a lot of red flags about the longevity of this game. I don't think anyone can look at this and think this is not going to be a fun game. I'm pretty sure it'll be fun. But the people who are asking, how long will this be fun for? I think those people have good reasons to be cautious. The other 95% of people are going to be the people who expect to play this for 10, 20, 40 hours after having paid their $60 or after having downloaded it on Game Pass, which is an absolute game changer in this conversation. Most people who play Back 4 Blood are going to do it through Game Pass. Millions of people, and most of them aren't going to care about whether or not this game lives for 12 years like Left 4 Dead 2 did. They're just going to want to shoot some zombies with their mates for a few hours and then move on to the next thing. From the brief time I've had with this game, I feel really confident that the PvE side of it is going to be a blast. Act 1, medium difficulty alone was so well designed, so tense, just exactly what I'd hoped it would be. It just feels like more Left 4 Dead, but refreshed both visually and mechanically, so it feels contemporary. The PvP side of the game, I'm less enthused about. That didn't feel like a game mode I'd want to stick with, but the PvE side of it, yeah, I could definitely see myself pushing through this and trying to clear the whole thing on Nightmare, coming back to it from time to time owing to the map modifiers and the random card system, which add a strong roguelike element to it. From a gameplay perspective, it's ticking all my boxes so far, and I'm excited to play it. I'll be one of those Game Pass people who booted up on launch day to play through with my mates. Beyond that, who knows? And it remains to be seen whether Turtle Rock have learned from Evolve or are simply making the same mistakes 6 years later. We'll find out in the months following the game's launch on October 12th. One last thing before we go, thanks to Nvidia and MSI, I had the chance to play Back 4 Blood on the new Sword G15 laptop. This laptop is truly next gen because it has the latest 30 series GPU built in, meaning you get all the benefits of the latest GPU hardware in portable form. What are those benefits, you ask? Well, obviously the raw processing power of Nvidia's 30 series cards is unmatched, delivering you the best frame rates and resolutions on the market today. In addition to that, you also get ray tracing, which is a technique that simulates light using an algorithm, resulting in the most realistic rendition of light we've ever seen in video games. The most impressive tech is one utilized in Back 4 Blood, and it's called DLSS, which stands for Deep Learning Super Sampling. What this does is it renders your game at a lower resolution while making it look like it's running at a higher resolution, giving your GPU more headroom to spend on graphical settings and frame rates. A great example was when I tested DLSS on Outriders. I picked up an average of around 40 frames. That's a big increase. Pair that with the laptop's 144Hz screen and you can expect a silky smooth experience even when the action is thickest. In addition to a sleek design, each MSI Sword series laptop comes equipped with their signature Cooler Booster cooling system, with airflow through both the bottom and sides of the laptop to keep temperatures nice and low. Gaming laptops aren't the giant bricks they used to be. They're smaller, thinner, lighter, and more portable than ever before, but they're just as versatile. You may want to use a laptop as your main driver, plugging it into monitors as you would a desktop PC, or even better, you can plug it into a TV, allowing you to enjoy your games on big screens with surround sound setups. To learn more about Nvidia's next-gen GPUs or the MSI Sword G15 laptop, click the link in the description below. Thanks Nvidia and MSI for supporting the video, and thank you for watching it. Thanks for watching my video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down so I know to do better for next time. If you enjoyed yourself, consider subscribing, and if you really enjoyed yourself, maybe consider hitting that notification bell so you never miss a video. You can see my patrons here on the left. They're awesome. They're amazing. If you want to join them, check out my Patreon page. Thank you again. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.